I'm sorry, everybody. Hey, Jim Cummings here. Can I tell you, you are watching Geeks with Issues. And I've got no issue with that. See how I work that in there? A professional. Stay dangerous, sport fans.
Cause there's a geek in your face and the geek's got issues. Geeks.
Hey, true believers, welcome back to Geeks with Issues 20XX. We've got an exciting episode for you this session. Before we get started, allow me to introduce to you your geeks. To my far right, the 8-bit adventurer himself, Sean.
Hello, everyone.
In the center, joining us via Zoom, the technomancer Ogre.
Hello.
And I, your friendly neighborhood Geekmaster and Tuck. So we'd love your feedback during the course of this episode because we made a little bit of a change stylistically. We removed one of the topics that we're discussing. That should allow for a tighter experience conversationally, and it should run a little bit better on TV and not run over the half-hour time slot that we're supposed to have. So let us know in the comments if you like the new format and if things are going well. With that in mind, let's get started with our first topic from Sean.
Dungeons and Dragons, but also Daggerheart. So tabletop RPGs, Daggerheart released this year. It is Critical Role's new RPG system. Having a breakout launch where they do a print run and they just sell out, and they have to keep redoing print runs that continue to sell out. But interestingly, Critical Role has announced that it is doing Campaign 4, but that it is sticking with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, specifically the 2024 rules. This was a bit of a shock to the Critical Role community, figuring that they might want to use this opportunity to push their own system. They're going to be using it for their sort of smaller games, like limited series, or for live shows, to the point that they're actually converting their Campaign 3 characters to Daggerheart for like the next live show. But they are continuing with Dungeons and Dragons for their main campaign. Big upheaval. Lines were drawn in the sand in the Critical Role community over this because there's no pleasing them. But meanwhile, at PAX West, Acquisitions Incorporated did their last episode. Didn't confirm anything, but bit of a spoiler. They ended it with taking an Apocalypse dagger and plunging it into a heart to rewrite reality. So there is some conjecture and some speculation going on that perhaps they may be switching to Daggerheart. And I thought it was a very interesting dichotomy between the two, of like opposite world of Critical Role sticking with Dungeons and Dragons, despite the fact that it created a new RPG, and Acquisitions Incorporated, which was a promotional piece for D&D 4th edition, potentially jumping ship to a brand new system. Although the connection there is that Penny Arcade fully owns Acquisitions Incorporated, and so it's more of a partnership with Wizards. But we're finding out it was really more of a partnership with Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, who are now at Darrington Press.
Right.
And so they would continue to run the shows. But yeah, so I thought it was just interesting, a crossover. We had in our group chat of just a wild sort of speculation about it. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts as to like this potential swap, or not using a system that either you created or have been partnered with, and what sort of stuff we could expect to see from a change like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm most excited about Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins trying out Dragonheart, or at least on screen. And then I haven't personally experienced Dragonheart yet, but that sounds really engaging to me too. So I know Jeremy Crawford and Perkins, between them, have over 46 years of D&D experience, and it sounds really amazing. So
I think there's some solid logic to that. I think that Acquisitions Incorporated, as you noted, being a Penny Arcade property, the strength between the connection with Acquisitions Incorporated and the two designers is stronger than the connection between Acquisitions Incorporated and Wizards. And I also think it fits really well with the more narrative sort of play
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
that Acquisitions Incorporated does.
Yeah, it's a system where now everybody can do like Pat Rothfuss nonsense, that's just baseline of how you play that game. So,
Whereas
oh, that's great.
not that there would be a huge learning curve because they designed or are involved in the design of the game, but there's still going to be a learning curve for the CR crew moving from D&D to Daggerheart. So for the purposes of getting them to play quicker, it makes sense, amongst other things, which we'll talk about those other things in the next episode. So keep watching in a couple weeks as to the things that make that important. But we've run out of time on this one. Summarily, we're going to go to Ogre about one of the latest trends in artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it was. I just came across an article today. Mozilla Firefox is releasing a new feature in their phone app called Shake to Summarize. What you do is you essentially shake, when you're on an article, you shake your phone and it will pop down a list and it will give you a summarization of the article there. I was wondering what are your takes on growing prevalence of using AI to summarize information? It essentially undercutting like all of the work that was done to create the content that it's actually summarizing and just giving you the bullet points of.
you want to start first? Because oh boy,
You're raring for this one.
I'm
okay.
fired up.
I got to fire up the crew somehow here.
I have been dealing with this at work, so I'm particularly fired up about this.
Okay.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. This happens to me with Adobe Acrobat every time I open a PDF.
Oh,
Right?
Oh,
and it'll be like a character sheet.
right.
And it'll be like, oh, do you want a summary of it? No, I don't want a summary of it. There's no information. It's a blank character sheet. But in particular, I've been dealing with issues of emails being sent to me that were very clearly run through ChatGPT or something else. And in particular, or Gemini. And it looks like they were ingesting emails that I sent to that person, because then the emails coming back to me sound like they were written in my own style and cadence. So, in particular, I'm not a fan of AI summaries, just because it's also, the other thing is, it'll ask me if I want a summary of, say, a TTRPG handbook. And I'm like, it's 400 pages, and it's a rule book. I don't need summaries of rules. And like, if I'm opening something to read it, like I want to read it.
Right.
Like, that's kind of the point.
Right. So I'm in one of those delightful mixed places because I've seen applications of summarizing that can be helpful, like in an extended email chain where you're talking about 40, 50 emails going across 8 or 9 different people. Gemini will automatically, in my work email box, summarize everything for me and tell me. Most of the time, I ignore the heck out of it. But in those big applications, I can see there being value in sort of like recapping what is being discussed. Generally, though, I don't see there being a super large amount of value in it. I mean, I think AI in general should be a tool that gets used in certain applications. I don't think all of the applications that everybody is using it in are always appropriate.
100%.
Again, when you're talking about like an email exchange that's getting super long in the tooth, and it's been a couple days since you've seen it, and you've got that, all right, what was this exchange about again? Being able to check the quick summary up at the top doesn't hurt. But to be summarizing everything, again, as in your example, including when it's entirely and completely inappropriate, no, not helpful.
And here's an additional cost, an additional thought. How much are we willing for our power bills to go up?
Yeah.
For these summaries,
right?
And I'm not willing to pay extra to have a summary of an email that I sent.
Right.
I don't want it.
Can I turn it off, please?
Yeah, and I have, but we have a shared inbox where we can't turn it off because it's shared, and I have to. Yeah.
A perfect spot to stop. Blah blah blah. And a perfect spot to move on to our journeys from the basement. Trevor this week is going somewhere vintage, somewhere Pittsfield, and somewhere that you should definitely enjoy checking out.
Hey Geeks, Trevor here with Journey from the Basement. Today we're in downtown Pittsfield at Bomb Shack Vintage, a shop that's pure nostalgia. You'll find vintage clothing, old school video games, and collectibles you didn't even know you needed. This is a spot built for anyone chasing that geeky treasure hunt. Buy, sell, trade, or just hang out and dig through the racks. Bomb Shack has that energy that makes you feel like you're back in your first comic shop, discovering something awesome. If you're in Pittsfield, this is a must stop. Alright, true believers, this one's special. Bomb Shack Vintage isn't just a store. It's the brainchild of pro BMX rider and local geek, Jake Seeley. Instead of picking one passion, he threw them all together. Video games, music, skate culture, vintage style, and turned it into a space that feels like walking through his personal mixtape. One wall has a Star Wars tee, the next has a BMX bike frame, and somehow it all fits. That's the beauty of it. Bomb Shack isn't about one hobby. It's about celebrating all the things we love in one spot.
I'm here with an old friend of mine, one of my best friends, professional BMX rider, former real street competitors, right? Yeah. And owner of Bomb Shack Vintage here in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Man, the first thing I want to ask you is, do you consider yourself a geek?
Yes, most certainly. I mean, if I'm surrounded by this stuff, I'm a geek. So.
Yeah, I see a lot of stuff here, man. So you're probably a kid like me of the 80s, the 90s. I see Game Boys, I see posters, I see Nikes, definitely Thrasher sweatshirts, stuff like that. So would you say that being a geek has contributed to the type of style that you had at the store here?
Yeah, it's made me like passionate about these certain things, you know, like just like the nostalgia, like from you said, like the Game Boy stuff to like old music we used to listen to, old sports teams, like any of that stuff. Like the marketing, the branding was like shoved down our throats. So like, if you weren't, it was pretty hard not to be part of it or be interested in it in this time, you know. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm definitely a geek on this stuff. I love
If
being
there's
surrounded by
one
it.
thing you had to say was your geek passion overall, I mean, besides what you do for work, that's a passion.
Yeah.
But the thing you geek out for the most out of everything you have here, what would you say?
That's a strange one, but like I'm a huge Looney Tune head.
Looney Tunes,
Like
dude.
I grew up pretty hard on Looney Tunes, and like just the humor, just the illustration, everything was so like, I don't know, it hit so different and so right. Like I feel like that's when the cartoons were really on point, and they really like had messages of all sorts.
Talk about branding. That's one of the things I think that I've seen the most. I mean, you see like
Dude,
Bug Bunny, the Space Jam, the Comeback Alone, dude, they brought those vintage jerseys. I'm sure if you haven't sold them here, I'm sure you've seen what they're going for.
Yeah, no, they're going for very fanny for sure.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. They had branding with WWF type stuff. They had branding NASCAR. They had fishing stuff. They had monster trucks. Like anything Looney Tunes could get their hands in, they were trying to market.
Yeah. So would you say being a geek today is like it was when we were kids? Do you think it's okay to be a geek now?
I think we've made it cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think even like the younger generations are seeing how cool this stuff was, and like us geeking out on it is kind of like, oh, maybe I should check that out. And then they realize why we're geeking out and why we're so into it, you know. And I think that's why it's been carried on. Like that's why the '90s were gonna live forever. In the '80s, like even like for like Looney Tunes stuff, that happened like way before I was even born, you know. And then I was like brought into it, you know. So like, there's no reason why that can't keep going circulating, you know.
Absolutely, man. So cool to be a geek then. Cool to be a geek now. Cool to be a geek in the future. Thank you for your time, man. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon.
Bomb Shack Vintage is more than a shop. It's a hangout. One night you'll find live music from local bands right inside the store. The next weekend you're at the skate park for a community day. Skating, music, trading gear, just hanging out. They even host vintage swap meets where you can bring your own stuff and trade stories along with collectibles. That's the vibe here. It's not just about buying cool things, it's about connecting with people who love the same culture. That's why we spotlight it on Journey from the Basement, because this is where community happens.
Okay, geeks, hypothetical. You have the opportunity, just like Bomb Shack Vintage, to create your own whatever inspires you store. What is going to be in that store?
I mean, I guess it's just my stuff. Because I have a store.
That's true.
It's a digital store, but I have a store.
You do, in fact, have a store. That's a fair point. You actually have a store.
I do.
Yeah, for me, it would be probably walls lined with books all the way around, and then what me and my family call a thinking pit. So it's soft chairs and couches in a big circle in the middle of this in an area with a coffee table in the middle, and you're all sitting around comfortable and just have conversations and stuff, and maybe have coffee or tea or something in order to encourage it. And just relax and enjoy the environment, come up with your best ideas, share them, and build off of each other.
Ogre Store's a cozy place.
Yes, sir.
See, whereas I would have the same hard time that Bomb Shack Vintage does, because trying to focus on what to put in a shop space like that would be a challenge for me. So that would be it would be different stuff, but I feel that the vibe of that store. That's solid. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on to our last topic of the evening, I wanted to consider the current state of things when it comes to Star Trek. Specifically, as has sort of been my theme recently, where you feel like the franchise is proving to be most effective in the modern era. And I will say that it is okay to say there's something from outside the modern era that continues to be the most effective, like, grasp of the feeling of Star Trek, what's getting the vibes right. Is there something in the modern era that's getting the vibes right, or is it... Where are we with modern Star Trek?
So, unfortunately, my experience with modern Star Trek is Lower Decks.
Which is not a terrible experience to have.
No. And I loved I loved Lower Decks.
I would say that's, yeah.
I don't know if Lower Decks has the vibe, but I do like it, and I like that that Star Trek was expand and trying new things. I do like that, and I like that. All in all, there was still the same overall goals, but it was showing it from like a different perspective of, that it's not the bridge crew, which is typically what Star Trek focuses on.
Right.
That said, I have Picard in particular is still on my watch list. And I watched a couple episodes, but I don't remember. It was like during a fever dream type state, so I have no idea.
Oh, that's the worst.
And I think I slept through like half of it because it was that sort of state. So
Right.
I'm not a trusted source on what to think about that. But I am very interested. I do want to watch it because it specifically has a lot of cast and characters from the TNG.
Right.
TNG, DS9, Voyager era.
Yeah. I just to chime in real quick on Lower Decks, I think they were, in my opinion, they were one of the first that recaptured a lot of what, like, the Next Generation and that series or that group of series really embodied in that, in a comedic setting. But I think the episodic nature, the short form storytelling mixed with threads throughout the series, mixed with that idea of it's a military organization. It's very well structured and everything, and that's one of the things that a lot of the things like Discovery, maybe even the first couple of seasons of Picard, had a little wishy-washy with, which was jarring to me. I'm actually rewatching Discovery right now so I can watch Section 31 to know who Giorgio is as a person, because I stopped and then I picked it back up, and it does get better as it goes on. So I just have to adjust a lot of. I think the theme of what I'm going after is I have to adjust my expectations for a lot of the new stuff versus my belief of what a lot of the old stuff was, and it just kind of get them to merge together because it's so rich. The story, all of the stories are so rich. Yeah.
So I think, first of all, I will say that the Star Trek fandom, not universally, but in some areas, frustrates me. Because there's this, I've decided this is not canon. It's all canonical. I'm sorry. It's all canon. Spicy take. It's all canon. But in my opinion, as far as modern Trek goes, Lower Decks was an absolutely fantastic adventure into something completely new that Star Trek hadn't really touched on before. Discovery had a fantastic concept, but I feel like it always was struggling. I never watched the Nickelodeon series. I'd like to. That's on my watch list. Season 1 and 2 of Picard should have been titled Stewart.
Okay.
Whereas season 3 was expressly a love letter to the Next Gen fans.
I think
Personally,
the should
for
have been
me,
season
this
3 for all 3. Yeah.
the series that gets the vibe of modern Trek, classic Trek vibe correct, Strange New Worlds, no question. And with that, there will be no more questions because we've reached the end of the episode. I want to thank everyone for joining us on this exciting Geeks with Issues 20XX adventure. We will see you from the basement of dreams next time. Until then, this is Ben.
Sean.
Ogre.
And Tuck, hoping you geek on, geek out, and geek anywhere. Just clean up after yourselves. We'll see you next time on Geeks with Issues. Goodbye, everybody.
You gotta blow on it. You gotta blow on it. I used to think anything was possible. I thought that I could be a king or Caesar. But I don't need all of that gold or silver. That's how I know that I'm a true believer. Some people wanna climb the corporate ladder, TPS reports, politics and schemes. Thanks to my chainsaw, my cubicle is firewood. Now I'm living in a basement of dreams.